What is up, my viewers? Spang here, bringing you another World of Tanks gameplay commentary. This time it is another one of my replays. I am in my T110E4, a very good tank destroyer, if I do say so myself, and it is going to be a standard battle on Lakeville. As if there's any other sort of battle, teams are fairly even for the most part, though the enemy team does have one more tier 10. We have one more tier 9, that T71 basically serving as their scout, and artillery being somewhat of a force to be reckoned with on this map, but it is even per team. So it really comes down to a matter of how well each player will play per team with no significant tank advantage being present. And this is a common error, just one of those glitches in the 8.2 replays where tanks for some reason seem to have this weird jerking motion back and forth. And I know in previous commentaries I mentioned those audio glitches that seem to be only audible to me, because in viewing my own commentaries, I recognize that you guys couldn't hear them. So if they happen in this game, I'm just going to ignore them, since apparently you guys don't hear them anyway, so why would I comment on them? The enemy team commenting on a few things here. Cheap for resupply when you have to go with the Type 59. T34 does well. I'm guessing someone asked what the best premium tank was, and people just giving their feedback. Personally, I like the T34, but if I had to give a recommendation, KV5 or Type 59. That's what I would say, depending on your play style. Both of them are very good at what they do. The heavies all have 1K ammo. I believe someone commenting on the premium heavies. It really, like I said, personally, you've got to know your own play style to buy a good premium tank. So that's really what it comes down to. Now let's just shift our focus a bit back to this match. The enemy team putting a bit of a push down in the valley over there in the 1-2 line, though our team should be able to handle it, especially with the artillery support they have over there. I am not concerned about that at all. This enemy T57 heavy, I want to get a shot off on him now. The T57 does have an autoloader, but he has soft turret armor, so that is his weakness. His main hull armor, if I recall correctly, is equivalent to the M103, so quite formidable, but nothing that really is going to pose much of a threat against deterrence against the high penetration gun of the T110E4. My average penetration, if I recall correctly, is 1. Oh, this was a match where I accidentally had all premium shells loaded. I did not recognize this at the time, so I thought I was firing standard shells. And I quickly learned at the end of the match, when I had quite a hefty toll to pay, that I was indeed firing premium rounds. So the enemy team fighting someone who doesn't quite recognize the advantage he truly does have. This was just a lack of situational awareness on my part. The enemy's push in the valley here, if you take notice of the minimap, going quite well for them, and I'm hoping at this point our artillery can do something to stop it. And right there, IS-8 eliminating an IS-8. The enemy team should be somewhat concerned about their push in the valley failing. However, they do have a strong number of tanks here in the city, and this is why I am advancing forward. I am doing my best to support my team and flank the enemy, get some of those free shots. This T57 will suffer a significant amount of damage to me, over 1,300 points of damage, thanks to me lighting him on fire, not standing even the slightest chance. That Bat Chat ramming a tank to his death. The M103 surviving to fight another day. So that Bat Chat not making the wisest decision in his ram. And here this enemy M103 thinking it's a good idea to charge forward, quickly learning that getting himself surrounded by enemy tanks is not a wise idea, especially when one of those vehicles is a T110E4 with an average damage of 850 points. Our Type 59 sadly getting eliminated by enemy artillery, and it is not a Type 59, it is a T54. I misspoke. They look very similar, so you can't blame me all that much. But the E50M here, very, very hurt, and I will get the final shot on him right here. No hope at all of him bouncing my shot. I misspoke there a little, due to the fact I am loading premium rounds, and my premium rounds have an average of 375 penetration, so guaranteed to get through almost anyone's armor at any point on their tank. It's unfortunate for the enemy team, and it's unfortunate for me in terms of credits, but it is a very good thing for our team. I am up to 3 kills at this point. and doing very, very well for myself. The enemy team still having 2 tier 10 tanks left, a mouse, which is now spotted, as well as a Jagdpanzer E100. Both very potent weapons in their own right. But against the high penetration rounds I am using, they really do not stand much of a chance whatsoever. And the T110E4 does have very formidable armor, and I just remembered a very interesting point in this game. So if you thought this game was good so far, just stay tuned at this point. It gets very close, very interesting, and you will see some crazy, very crazy World of Tanks shenanigans. And I know that's quite the odd word to use, but I do not back down from my word selection. Shenanigans is the best way to describe this. So this mouse, certainly going to be troublesome. And still, like I said, at this point, I still have not recognized that I am using premium rounds. If I had, I would have simply just shot at his turret at this point, rather than trying to take a shot at his underplate, that one weak spot that is the common aiming point when you are fighting a mouse. That is the one little square armor plate that is in between the 2 tracks. If I knew I was using premium rounds, I would just aim directly for the turret. And here I am, actually. I recognize that the turret is green. I don't know if I realized I'm using premium rounds at this point, as this replay was so old. Bouncing a shell there. Like I said, the T110E4 has great armor of its own, at least front-wise. And the mouse, here I do have a good shot on that front plate, damaging him for a significant amount of hit points, getting a very high damage roll there. And I assume, I don't believe I can hit that high in the 1100s, so I think that another teammate hit him as well. Now here, the mouse kind of doing something I wasn't counting on, coming at me full force, ramming, there we go, taking another shot at his turret, and I am doing my best to drive forward and not let him show me off the edge. This is where I start to panic a little and say, no, save me, someone on my team, shoot him, don't let him run me off the edge, no! And there's really nothing I can do against him, and I think I'm doomed. Getting a kill on him, and the rocks saving me. Thank you, World of Tank gods. The team, my teammates laughing, and the T110E5 saying nice shot. Here I'm saying, suck it, mouse. The E50M so say, yeah, their T110E4 isn't a threat now. And I say the rocks have saved me. So yes, the E50M recognizes that they have saved me and asking if, well, can I escape? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to try anything. The T110E5 being a good teammate, telling me to stay just right where I am. Thank you, Mr. E5. T110 sticking together to the end, you know, that whole deal. And here, I say I really don't have a choice. If I try and move, there's a pretty good chance I would just slide right off these rocks. Rock of Ages cleft for me. Yes, and this is what I was talking about. This game getting very interesting. Our team up by 2 tanks, but really only up by 1, considering I am a non-factor, unless the enemy team decides to push towards our T110. I'm sorry, that's not a T110. That is an M103. If the enemy team decides to push towards that M103, I can get side shots on them, but otherwise I am a non-factor at this point in the game. I'm not quite sure what that 268 is talking about right there. The M103 really not in a position, and here is what I was referring to earlier as my crossfire position. I am doing my best to support the M103. Should the enemy team get a crazy idea to rush him, our artillery moving into a more aggressive stance in the valley, basically advancing on the enemy team. And I say basically, if I try to move up after the M103, well, here I had a bit of a typo, but I'm letting my M103 know I have his back if he stays where he is. And you see, if you noticed where that one shot was on my frontal plate, right where the bottom plate meets the top plate, never shoot there, ever, on a T110. It is one of the most armored spots. You are almost guaranteed to bounce that. Where those 2 plates meet, that little duck bill or whatever you want to call it, is a very poor place to aim. The Jagdpanzer E100 still alive, and me kind of just aiming where I can. Kind of trying to bait the enemy team here. I'm saying advance on the M103. You know you want to. hoping the enemy team takes the bait, but I am almost certain they will not. The Jagdpanzer E100 not doing very well for himself. That Object 261 very capable of killing him in one shot, and I believe we do see that here very shortly. What is that? M4, that is a T92 advancing through the city. The Jagdpanzer E100, me telling the M103 to move up in an attempt. I am tripping over my own tongue. I apologize. To capture their base. I'm telling him to move up for two reasons here. One, to spot the enemy for our T92, and secondly, to try and capture the enemy base before time runs out. We only have 4 minutes 40 seconds left, and basically our only hope of victory is artillery shelling them and the M103 possibly getting some lucky shots. Hopefully he could kill this artillery, but it's not looking likely. That already is way long gone at this point. And the M103 should just stay on base. If he advances any further, which it looks like he may, no, he's staying right in that capture area. Good on him. And letting the T92 support him. This is exactly the teamwork you want to see at this stage in the game. It is imperative that this teamwork is shown this early in the game, at this stage in the game, not this early. If you can't tell, I am a little bit out of it. It is late, and I am tired. But I need to get these replays done. Here I'm saying I can't move. I am stuck. The M103 getting the final shot on the Jagdpanzer E100 certainly due to the fact that the Object 261 did weaken him. That was the only reason that M103 was able to kill him. The T92 almost killing that M4043, but the M103 getting the final hit on him. That does finish him off. Our team doing very well for themselves, winning by 3 tanks, although I did become a non-factor there at the end. I certainly played my part. For those curious, I did earn Mastery Badge Ace Tanker with my T110E4 this round, with approximately close to 1,600 experience, and I did earn Steel Wall as well, taking 10 hits. And in this round, I dealt close to 4,600. No, I take that back. It was 4,900 points of damage. So 4,900 points of damage, doing very, very well for myself. And the enemy team really doing well for themselves too. This was what I would classify as a good game. Those people who type GG when it's a severely one-sided match, they can go drive their tank off a cliff for all I care. A good game is when it is an interesting match between two teams that really put up a good fight. If it's one-sided, I don't consider that a GG, and I will never type GG to the enemy team if we just rolled them into the dust. I consider that rude, to be honest. But enough of this ranting. Now, be on the lookout. Either in the next few days, I'm going to be putting out a video with some newer replay protocols that will better allow me to process all the replays. I'm tripping over my own tongue again. That you guys are sending in. I'm going to be honest. Ever since my recent surge in activity, you guys have reciprocated by sending in tons of replays. So it's making it very hard to stay caught up. And so I said in one of my videos, I need to develop a system. And I'm going to start with that. Like I said, a video will be oncoming. And in the next few days, through this week and next week, there will be that surge of replays, 2 or 3 a day, trying to get through all the old 8.2 replays so I can update to 8.3 and I can resume playing World of Tanks. So this is just the continuation in that. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked it, click that like button. If you want to see more, subscribe. And as always, if you got a replay, send it to spanglereplays@gmail.com. Emails in the description, and video on replay protocols coming out in the next day or so. Be on the lookout. Anyway, this has been Spang, and I am signing off.